Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Carsten and I'm talking a lot about music on this channel. Today I will present my top 25 albums of 2021. Now, a lot of people, when you see these kind of lists, prefer only to take studio albums. I have included live albums too. And I have been listening to between 65 and 70 different albums this year. You can listen to everything. I mean, if you look at the list of releases, about 40% is K-pop, which is not included in this list. Last year I had a top 15. This year I have expanded it to a top 25 because I really had to reduce it from about 70 down to 25, and a lot of very good artists didn't make the list. I can just mention a few like Deep Purple, Alan Jackson, Lindsey Buckingham, Eric Clapton, Bonnie Tyler, Steve Hackett, Eric Church, Lady Gaga, Toto, Gov't Mule, Freud, Georgia Line, and many more. So this is my take on it, and because it should not be more different than last year, I have two albums on the 25th place. Now on 25, Night Ranger, ATBPO, and the band played on, is a solid rock album with a sound that is a modern version of their 1980s sound. So that is my number 25. The other 25 is Billy Gibbons, a solid southern rock albums. The album's name is Hardware, and it's a little bit more bluesy than when Gibbons plays in ZZ Top, but it's a very nice album. On 24, you will find Neil Young and Crazy Horse album Barn. It's a very solid album with Neil Young in top form. It might have been placed higher if it hasn't been released very late in December, but it's still his 49th studio album in his career, so he's been a busy guy. Neil Young, Crazy Horse, and Barn, number 24. On 23 we find Alice Cooper's Detroit Stories. This is the 28th studio album by Alice Cooper. The album features themes consistent with the rest of Alice Cooper's discography, with a grander and exaggerated shock rock tales. This album, however, is a nostalgia. It's Detroit's many influences from traditional hard rock origins in Detroit. So this is my choice of number 23, Alice Cooper, Detroit Stories. Now on 22 I have chosen Yes, The Quest. It was released on different formats. You could get it on CD, LP, Blu-ray disc, and on digital platforms. And it actually made number 20 in the UK charts, but I had difficulty. I'm a huge Yes fan, but I think that this album lacks this momental song that you find on many of their albums. So 22 is the best I could find for Yes, The Quest. Now on 21 I have Liquid Tension Experiment, or LTE, album 3. This was recorded in August 2020 and was the first release since 2009. But Portnoy Rudess, they just do a very good job, and I like their interpretation of Rhapsody in Blue on this album. But it made 21 one, maybe because it was so early that it has been a time since I listened to it last time, but still these guys are fantastic musicians. Liquid Tension Experiment 3 is my 21. Now I take a local band, the Danish band Wallbeat, Servant to the Mind, and this is an album that was released on December 3rd, so I haven't been able to listen to it that much, but it still caught my attention, and if it had come out maybe a month or two earlier, it would have regained another higher ranking, but this time it's number 20, Wallbeat, Servant to the Mind. On my 19th rank is Stixx, Crash of the Crown, and Stixx is Stixx, and I think that this album goes back to the old Stixx, even though without Dennis DeYoung, and it's a very, very good band. JY is doing a lot of vocals on this one, and it's Stixx updated version, and it's a very good album. On another day it might have been higher in my ranking, but it's still very, very good. Unfortunately, it's still been difficult to buy it here in Germany. Either sold out or they didn't have it in the local record store. On rank 18 I have a band and a CD that I actually have been able to retain this year, and that is Cheap Trick, In Another World. This is their 20th studio album, and it was released in April 2021, and it's really a solid album. It's they still make these very good tunes, and they're still rocking away, and they try to put something like their super hit, The Flame. That flame still burns heavily on this album. So Cheap Trick, In Another World is my number 18. My number 17 is something very different. It's Brian Wilson's solo actually with his piano, and it's called At My Piano. And you can actually imagine this young kid, Brian Wilson, in the 60s, playing on his piano upright in their home in California, and now almost 80 years old, he's giving a taste what that would have been. He's playing a lot of the songs that he's been composing over years, but only with the piano, and it's fully instrumental. And if you like piano music, this is a fantastic album. So that's my number 17, Brian Wilson, At My Piano. On rank 16 we have the Deutsch prog rock veterans, Kayak, with their 22nd studio album, and it's called Out of This World, and it has both ballads, and it has these very instrumental things, and it's still about average, their ability to compose these kind of songs that basically both work on radio and in the prog scene. So Kayak, Dutch band, Out of This World is my number 16. My 15th rank is Plant Crowds, Raise the Roof, which is the second studio album by these two people. It's a British singer and songwriter, Robert Plant, former Led Zeppelin, and bluegrass country singer Alison Krauss. And the album was released on 19th of November 2021. and it's a good album. They really have a decent album produced here, and it's living up to their 2007 album where they Racing the Sand, which won 6 Grammys. So this has both roots in music and rhythm and blues, and has always been a matter of very good human relations. This is a very, very decent album. Rubber Plant, Alison Krauss, Raise the Roof. Now, also during 2021 we had a lot of lockdowns, and this one is Lockdown, is Elton John's The Lockdown Sessions. Is his 32nd studio album by Elton John, and it features a lot of previous released tracks on it, like Learn to Fly, Chosen Family, The Pink Phantom, just to mention a few. And he has a lot of guest artists here, and the best track on this album for me is Miley Cyrus' version of Nothing Else Matters with Elton John and Metallica's bassist Robert Trujillo, which was fantastic. So Elton John, The Lockdown Sessions is my number 14. At number 13 you find, or I found, Ken Hensley's post-human album, My Book of Answers. And Ken Hensley has a special place in my musical upbringing, because one of the very first concert experience I was seeing and watching Uriah Heep in the early 70s, besides keyboard musicians, have always fascinated me. And it is a very good album. The lyrics is based on the Russian poet Vladimir Emelin, who Ken Hensley met in an airport in Spain when he used his poets to do the music. It's not always a great fit, but it works, and that's why I really like this album. And this is Ken Hensley's My Book of Answers. May he rest in peace. Now on my rank 12, number 12, I found Dennis DeYoung's 26 East Volume 2. And Dennis DeYoung, who is the former frontman of Stixx, really has a fantastic album here. It's the first records was called 26 East Volume 1, that came out in 2020. Should have been his final studio album of his career, but he had made so many great songs that his surroundings said to him, "Hey Dennis, you have to put out a volume 2," and this is what came out of it. And it's a really, really great album. And Dennis DeYoung, his lyrics are good. Many people forget, and if you really listen to the lyrics of his songs, you'll discover a lot. And I think that this album is a very, very good album. So on number 12 you find Dennis DeYoung, 26 East Volume 2. On the list as number 11 we find another band that has a long history, which is the Doobie Brothers, and his is the new album Liberté. And this is the first new album in 7 years, but it has been worth the time that we had to wait for it, because it's a really, really good album. It has in cases some like flashbacks to the early production, but it's still really solid album from these rock veterans. So on 11 you find Doobie Brothers Liberty. This one and the two 12, 11, 10, yeah, they can change every day, but this is a really good album. So Liberty from Doobie Brothers. My number 10 is Jackson Brown, Downhill from Everywhere. This is his 15th studio album by this American singer and songwriter. And it was released on July 23rd in 2021. And it was his first album with new material for 7 years. But I have been a big fan of Jackson Brown from back in the 70s. So I was really excited to listen to this album, and I was not disappointed. Without looking at a recent photo of Jackson Brown, it's easy to confuse a new album with his records or albums from the 70s and 80s, because his voice has not aged a day since 1972 when he disappeared for the first time. So Jackson Brown, Downhill from Everywhere is my number 10. My number 9 is Blackberry Smoke, You Hear Georgia, and it's a first full-length studio album from these guys since 2018. Charlie Starr is really a great musician and showman, and when you listen to the first lines of the title track, it says, "You hear Georgia when I open my mouth, do not make any difference what I'm talking about." So this is just putting up how he is giving an ode for his home state. It's a really good album, and I'm looking forward, hopefully, to be able to see Blackberry Smoke in Copenhagen this February. But with these Corona times, you are not sure. But I'm still crossing my fingers that it will happen. On number 8, we find Zack Brown band The Comeback, and this is really a comeback compared with the very experimenting sound that they had on the album The Owl. So The Comeback changes, it goes back to its roots, and it's as always a very, very good album that is typical Zack Brown band. You have violence, blue glass, cheerful lyrics, and it's you feel good listening to this album. So number 8, Zack Brown band The Comeback. On my rank 7, I have the most anticipated album of 2020-21, Abba, Voyage. I mean, this is the 9th studio album. It's only the 9th studio album from the Swedish group, and was released on November 5th, 2021. And it sold 1 million copies the first week of its release, and it's had the highest pre-order in the UK of any albums, with 111,000 copies pre-ordered. It went on every chart lists around the world. It came in as number 1, except in the US it was only 2nd, but that was a huge thing for Abba, because the best ranking they ever had on US Billboard was 16. So this is an album, and of course I got it on I pre-ordered it. So Abba, The Voyage, a great album with the two, Anna Fried and Agneta. His voice is perfect for this album. Abba, Voyage is my number 7. My number 6 is one of my all-time favorite bands, the Canadian band Saga. And they did this one called Symmetry, which is where they present acoustic versions of songs. Instead of using their normal synthesizers, keyboards, and electric guitars, they actually used cellos, violins, piano, banjo, and of course the acoustic guitar. And this gave some of their old tracks a new life. And you still have Michael Sadler's voice singing, and it's a very, very good album. It's justified. It's innovative, because many times when you hear people do an acoustic version of their former hits, it's like campfire music. But in this case, it's not. It's really a brilliant album, and that's why I put it in on number 6, Saga, Symmetry. On the 5th ranking, as number 5, is Transatlantic, The Absolute Universe. Normally I would have had this one a physical copy, but for some reason I wanted the extended version. This one that's called Forever, but it was not available in the shops. I only have the Breath of Life, which is the shorter version of 60 minutes. And when it came out, my Portnoy said that we always had the attitude that more is never enough, and but this time we have taken that idea to the extreme. So you get the one called Breath of Life, which is a 60-minute version, and then you get the 90-minute double disc extended version called Forevermore. And even though they are two different two CDs, you don't get the same music on them. So actually, if you like it, Transatlantic, you have to buy both Forevermore and Breath of Life. And that's, but still, it's a fantastic album. It's the lyrics, the songs, and you get these fantastic musicians like Portnoy, Morse, Roy Stolt, and Pete Travavas, which is a fantastic album. So my number 5 is Transatlantic, The Absolute Universe, and it could easily have made top 3, but the competition was hard this year. On my ranking as number 4, this album comes out, Iron Maiden, Senjutsu. I haven't been a huge fan of Iron Maiden. I've listened to it several times. I had a good neighbor who's had a lot of this music, but this is my first that I bought myself, and it's a long album, but I really like it. It shows that they have their best songwriting since the early 70s, and this 2000s where they actually make this changes in their way of writing music since the Brave New World. And I really like it. It has very many prog oriented arrangements, and it's ambitious in its melodic dynamics and eccentric, bombastic, and it's just a great album. I really enjoy listening to it, and for me it's one of these albums where you not just pick one track out and say this I can listen to. You have to listen to it all the way through, and it starts up with this with the first song, where you have this traditional ominous Japanese drumming, and that sets the pattern for this album. and the song "Writing on the Wall" is like southern rock inspired, and they have a lot of playful elements in it. You know, Steve Harris, their main songwriter, is a huge Jethro Tull fan, and this actually shows up on Senjutsu. And I really like the song "Death of the Kells," which is 10 minutes long, but still it's great music, and I really think this is one of the best Iron Maiden albums I have ever heard, and that make it as on my listing as number 4, Iron Maiden Senjutsu. Now we get into top 3. On the third place and of my list this year, we get Dream Theater, A View from Top of the World, which is a fantastic album. Again, Dream Theater is always good, and I really like the title track, View from the Top of the World, which is 20 plus minutes, and but all the one is a great album. It's really Dream Theater's, I think, most accessible album, and it was recorded in Dream Theater's new headquarters, as they call it, and it was released on October the 22nd, and really it's fantastic. You got 70 minutes of great music, and the musicianship is, as usual, fantastic. I really feel that you get a fantastic album here. So this is Dream Theater, A View from Top of the World, my number 3. My number 2 is Neil Moore's band, or as they prefer to be called now, NMB, and this is a double CD called Innocent and Danger, and I really enjoy that album. It's the innocent part where you have these more accessible songs, and actually you also get a cover song on this one where they cover Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Water. And normally when I listen to cover songs I think, oh no, this is not good, but as I previously told about the Rhapsody in Blue cover, this is also a fantastic cover, and it's really a fantastic album. And then you go to the second part of it called Danger, and they have two songs on it. It's Not Afraid Part 2, which is a short, about 20 minutes long song where they really show their musicianship, and then they go to Beyond the Years, and it's 31 plus minutes long, and it's a reminiscence of what you see of Spock Spears old cult album called, can we say that, called The Light. I really enjoy this, and I mean the musicians on this one is where you have Neil Morse, you get Mike Portnoy on drums. It's really a great album. Take a track like Your Place in the Sun and Another Story. I think you get some Supertramp or Pablo Stock as a comparison. So this is really good. And when you look listen to Bird on the Wire, you really can hear why Mike Portnoy is one of the best drummers in the world. Now my number 1, and this is a live album, and for many it's no surprise because the same band was my number 1 last year, and this is of course Kansas, To the Point of No Return, Live and Beyond. What really like about this album is that you have not only the album To the Point of No Return in its entirety, and it is in the same order as on the previous album, but you also get a walk through some of the song chests of Kansas. They actually put on songs from, I think, 9 different albums to on this one. Like, you start up with Cold Gray Morning, and then you have 2 Cents Worth, The Wall, you get Song for America from the second album, Summer from Prelude, Implicit, and it takes From Power, it's Musicato, and Taking in the View. So you get a lot of deep cuts on this, and the Point of No Return album in its entirety. So it's really great, and I'm looking forward because I'm going, hopefully, if Corona gives me the chance, I'm going to see Kansas live in Berlin in about 11 months from now. So hopefully Corona and everything is gone, and this album is really fantastic. It's even though it's Kansas live, and it's a lot of this is old material, I still enjoy listening to it, and I think that that the band today, which is fronted by Ronnie Platt, has really got back on track with their album from last year, Innocent, the Absence of Presence, which is a fantastic album. So now this is the album that I really have been looking forward to. Actually, I had to wait more than a month before I could get it in the stores, but this is my favorite of 2021, Kansas, To the Point of No Return, Live and Beyond. So Kansas once get a fresh paint on was and remains amazing rock music. It's anything but dust in the wind. That was my list from 2021. If you have any comments, please do so, and I would very much appreciate if you like and subscribe to my channel. So this is my list of 2021, and just to give you a few things, I will do my Santa Claus episode, and I will actually do a review of an old album from 2016 by Rick Labonte from Canada, which is on a mission, because I think he's a well overlooked musician, and has done a great album, and his new album will come in about 4 weeks from now. So this is what is planned at the moment. Thank you for listening in, and until we see you the next time. Goodbye.